Hello and welcome back to the Ritual Specialist, where tonight we will depart momentarily from our exploration of the elemental watchtowers to discuss the magical origins of furries. It should come as no surprise to anyone involved in occult magic or esoteric studies that the original furries were tribal shaman who wore animal pelts or masks for various tribal ceremonies. However, these priests might be called on to play different characters at different times of the year or for different occasions, and as such weren't true furries in the sense that they hadn't fully adopted specific individual personas. This religious furry fandom would, however, grow to influence the normal citizen of tribal life by receiving animal names or totems for strength, meditation, and inspiration from these tribal priests, and this is the origin of the true persona. This would continue for tens of thousands of years as humans migrated across the planet, and the evidence of animal totems, fetishes, and masks is prevalent in just about every culture in the world. However, in the modern day, it is most commonly recognizable in the mythology of the various native nations of the Americas, where the various animals that comprise the godly personas of those traditions have very distinct symbolism and personalities. These personas are often still given to adherents of these traditions and some cultural appropriators in the form of spirit animals. Spirit animals, however, are not furries in the crystalline sense of being strictly an anthropomorphized animal, as a spirit animal retains a fluid nature, sometimes a human being, sometimes an animal, sometimes an anthropomorph, and sometimes the experience is that of talking to the spirit animal as if it is an entity external to one's self. The crystallization of the anthropomorph would not come until the 12th century, when the French, who had begun looking for new things to sexualize, created the character of Reynard the Fox, which may possibly be the first true persona that would inspire at least 100 years of French furry fanfics. During this time, however, in medieval Europe, there are many records of people being put on trial for being werewolves, and this is very reminiscent of the earlier tribal and shamanistic magic. As we all know, a key aspect of the mythology of the werewolf is its transformative power. Again, being sometimes a human with the wolf consciousness, sometimes a wolf, sometimes an anthropomorph. And these transformations, if purposeful, are often done using pelts. Yet there is an additional form as well, which is often described in the records of these trials, and bears some resemblance to the phenomena of sleep paralysis and somnambulism, and that is that of an astrally projected wolf, which usually emerges from the chest of the sleeper as an energy form that goes forth by night to perform typically mischievous nocturnal missions. These instances may not be premeditated or malicious, however, as these projection-type transformations are often described as involuntary. 825 years after Reynard the Fox, in 1973, Disney would repackage Reynard as an animated version of the story of Robin Hood, which would become the standard aesthetic style for most fursonas from that point. But this is not the end of the evolution. In 1983, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would go from being an underground independent comic book to the most massive media franchise ever almost overnight. This caused an explosion of mainstream and independent comics and animation studios creating anthropomorphic animal characters in an attempt to recreate the success of Eastman and Laird. This furry comic boom included every possible genre, not just action, but drama, romance, and yes, even pornography. The final form of furries would occur in 1991 with Sonic the Hedgehog, which would create a splinter aesthetic in the artistic depiction of fursonas, as many would come to adopt a Sonic style. And the sexualization was ultimately finalized in games such as Sonic Adventure 2 in 2001 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, where it was depicted canonically that Mobians can have sex with humans.